Imagine a guy who is like globally famous for his dazzling smile, right? A guy nicknamed Magic, whose pure entertainment value just captivated the entire world for over a decade.
Right, yeah. And usually when you think of an athlete with that kind of global charisma, you just think of their physical achievements.
Exactly. You think of the trophies, the highlight reels, the sheer athleticism. But here's the ultimate contradiction we're unpacking today. His most profound trick wasn't actually played on a basketball court at all.
No, it wasn't.
It was, fundamentally altering the business of sports and completely reshaping the global understanding of a deadly virus.
It's a massive paradox, honestly, because like the public collective memory just focuses on the smile and the no-look passes.
Yeah, the Showtime era.
Right. But if we dig into the historical context and the actual timeline of his life, it reveals a narrative that is defined by intense conflict, trauma, and just this relentless necessity to reinvent himself.
Which is exactly why we're doing this deep dive into the life of Earvin Magic Johnson. Our mission today isn't just to recite his Wikipedia page.
Oh, please no.
Right. We are going to explore how a kid from Michigan, who was literally teased with the nickname Garbage Man, somehow evolved into a basketball icon, a billionaire business mogul, and a massive public health catalyst.
We're looking for the blueprint.
We are. And to find it, we have to look way past the Showtime era in Los Angeles. We have to go back to an environment that actively rejected him just to see how he developed his actual superpower.
Which was undeniably his ability to read the room. Long before we called it court vision, he was forced to develop an acute sociological awareness just to survive.
Yeah, so let's start in Lansing, Michigan, with his working class roots, because it's crucial.
It is. His mother, Christine, was a school janitor. Right. And she spent hours after work cleaning their own home.
Wow.
And his father, Irvin Sr., worked the assembly line at General Motors, never missed a single day, while also, doing janitorial work and hauling garbage just to make ends meet.
And Irvin Jr. actually helped his dad on that garbage route.
She did, yeah.
Which is wild because the neighborhood kids used to tease him mercilessly for it. They literally called him Garbage Man.
Kids can be brutal.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But the real psychological crucible, the place where that court vision really had to be weaponized, happened when he reached high school.
Right. Because he had originally planned to go to Sexton High School, which had a great basketball history, and it was only 5 blocks from his home in a predominantly black neighborhood.
Makes sense.
But because of desegregation efforts in the 1970s, he was boosted to Everett High School instead, which was predominantly white and, frankly, incredibly hostile to that integration.
It's like being dropped onto an alien planet with hostile gravity. You don't just survive an environment like that. You have to somehow manipulate the gravity.
That's a great way to put it, because his older brother, Larry, had actually been boosted there the year before, and he experienced terrible racism. Larry was actually kicked off the basketball team after a physical fight.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so Larry begged Irvin not to play. And initially, the hostility was just palpable. Irvin's white teammates completely ignored him in practice.
They just wouldn't pass to him.
They refused to pass him the ball. It almost came to a physical fight before the head coach finally intervened.
How do you even begin to dismantle that kind of entrenched resentment? Because you can't just walk in and demand respect.
Exactly. So he engineered dependency.
Okay, what does that mean?
Well, he realized that if he just played isolation basketball and scored all the points himself, he would only isolate himself further from the team.
Right. They'd just resent him more.
Exactly. So he forced them to rely on him. He started reading their movements, anticipating exactly where they would be, and delivering passes so perfectly timed and placed that all they had to do was lay it in.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Right. He made them look incredibly good. He figured out the sociology of his teammates. And by elevating their game, he made it just impossible for them to ignore him.
And he eventually becomes their undisputed leader.
He does.
That right there, that is the psychological foundation for his supreme adaptability later in life.
Yeah, and in his autobiography, he actually reflected that being boosted to Everett forced him out of his own world. It taught him how to communicate across massive cultural divides.
And of course, it was there where the legend begins, right?
Yeah.
As a sophomore, he puts up a staggering 36 points, 18 rebounds, and 16 assists in a single game.
Just unbelievable numbers.
Which prompts a local sports writer, Fred Stabley Jr., to give him the moniker Magic. And he's just 15 years old.
A nickname that his mother, who is a devout Christian, completely rejected as sacrilegious.
Naturally. But the name stuck anyway. However, that magical high school run was intertwined with some pretty deep tragedy, wasn't it?
It was. The summer before his senior year, his best friend, Reggie Chastain, was killed in a car accident.
Oh, man.
And Reggie was the one who really believed in Irvin when he doubted himself.
So the grief from that loss becomes this massive psychological catalyst. I mean, he dedicates his high school state championship to Reggie. And then that hyper-focus carries him right into Michigan State University. He leads them to the 1979 NCAA championship against Indiana State, who is led by his eventual ultimate foil, Larry Bird.
The most watched college basketball game ever, by the way.
Right. So he wins that championship, gets drafted #1 overall by the Los Angeles Lakers in 1979, and suddenly that hard-earned adaptability is put to the most absurd professional test imaginable.
It really is. I mean, he's drafted to pair with the legendary Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Right.
The Lakers had Kareem, but they hadn't actually won a title with him yet. They desperately needed an orchestrator. So they put this 6'9" rookie at point guard.
Which is an anomaly in itself, but the real test is the 1980 NBA Finals.
Game 6 against the Philadelphia 76ers.
Yeah. Kareem severely sprains his ankle in Game 5 and can't even travel. So Coach Paul Westhead looks at his rookie point guard and asks him to jump center.
Which is insane.
I really want to pause here because we often just rattle off his stats from this game. 42 points, 15 rebounds, 7 assists. But we need to talk about the physical mechanics of this. How does a point guard just suddenly play center in the NBA Finals on 24 hours' notice?
Well, it requires a complete rewiring of how you perceive the geometry of the court.
Okay, break that down.
A point guard plays facing the basket. Right. You see the whole floor unfolding in front of you. A center plays with his back to the basket.
That's a totally different game.
Completely different. You have to rely on physical feel, leverage, and spatial memory to know where the defenders are. You're suddenly battling against players who outweigh you by 40 pounds.
And fighting for rebounds.
Exactly. Fighting for rebounding position where the angles of the ball coming off the rim are completely different than what you're used to.
But he didn't just survive the physical beating in the paint, did he?
No. He played guard, forward, and center interchangeably throughout the entire game.
That is wild. And he wins the championship and becomes the only rookie ever to win Finals MVP.
It's the ultimate proof of concept for his adaptability.
But, with that unprecedented success comes unprecedented leverage. In 1981, he signs a 25-year, $25 million contract.
At the time, that is the highest-paying contract in sports history.
And the fallout was immediate, wasn't it?
Oh, it was messy. Early the next season, Magic gets into a very heated, very public dispute with Coach Paul Westhead.
Over what exactly?
Magic complains that the offense is too slow and predictable, entirely built around Kareem, and he actually demands a trade.
Wow.
Yeah, and shortly after that, owner Jerry Buss fires Westhead. The public perception turned instantly toxic. Magic was booed across the league, even by his own Lakers fans.
Wait, I'm stuck on this 25-year contract.
It's a lot to process.
In today's sports world, that's unimaginable. How did a team even structure that in 1981 without completely destroying their salary cap? Furthermore, didn't owner Jerry Buss essentially set Magic up for failure here?
How you mean?
Well, you give a 22-year-old kid a lifetime contract. Doesn't that massive deal essentially make him an uncoachable target? It feels like it created the inevitable clash with Westhead because Magic now had infinitely more institutional power than the coach did.
From a traditional coaching perspective, absolutely. It completely destroyed the power dynamic.
Right.
But you have to look at Jerry Buss's overarching strategy here. Buss wasn't just paying for a point guard. He was acquiring a lifetime entertainment IP.
Ah.
Buss viewed the Lakers not just as a basketball team, but as a Hollywood production. Magic was the anchor tenant for this club he was building.
That makes a lot of sense.
Right, and Westhead's slow, methodical offense might have been technically sound, but it was boring. It didn't sell tickets to celebrities.
Right, it wasn't Showtime.
Exactly. And Buss was already unhappy with Westhead. He actually intended to fire him days before the altercation even happened. Magic just became the public scapegoat because he demanded the trade out loud.
Okay, that clarifies so much. It was a clash between long-term branding and short-term coaching strategy.
That's exactly.
So Magic absorbs the public vitriol. Pat Riley steps in, unleashes that fast-paced Showtime offense, and they start winning again. But zooming out, while Magic is conquering his own team's internal dramas, the NBA itself is basically on life support.
It really was. In the late 70s and early 80s, the NBA was struggling with abysmal television ratings, rampant drug problems among players, and genuine fears of league-wide bankruptcy.
Wow. I mean, the finals were literally being broadcast on tape delay late at night, right?
Yeah, at the late local news. The league desperately needed a narrative to elevate the sport.
And fate provides his old college rival, Larry Bird, in Boston. You know, I like to think of Magic and Bird like two competing operating systems that forced the entire tech industry to evolve.
Oh, I like that.
Think of it like Mac versus PC. Magic's Showtime Lakers were the sleek, colorful, user-friendly interface that brought all the casual masses in. And Bird's Celtics were the utilitarian, code-heavy processing power that the hardcore purists swore by.
That is a phenomenal way to frame it. The contrast was irresistible. And the media heavily leaned into the subtext of it all.
Oh, they loved it.
You had the Hollywood flash versus the blue-collar grit. And frankly, the media explicitly capitalized on the undeniable racial dynamics too, black versus white.
Yeah.
They met in 3 out of 4 NBA finals between 1984 and 1987. They obsessively checked each other's box scores every single morning. I mean, they functionally saved the league from financial ruin by making the NBA a global television event.
The turning point in their personal relationship is so fascinating to me because it breaks that media narrative entirely. And it wasn't on the court. It was like shooting a shoe commercial.
Right. In 1984, Converse set up a commercial shoot at Bird's home in French Lick, Indiana.
Classic.
And the script was specifically designed to depict them as bitter, glaring enemies.
Because that's what sells.
Exactly. But during the downtime on set, Magic went into Bird's house for lunch. Bird's mother had made them a meal. And as they sat there eating, they started talking and realized they were both just country kids from working-class families who were completely obsessed with winning.
That's amazing.
Yeah, they secretly became close friends from that exact moment on.
It adds such a beautiful layer of humanity to this supposed blood feud, like arch nemesis who realize they're actually the exact same person.
Totally.
So Magic goes on to win 5 championships in the 80s. He is the face of the league. He feels completely invincible. And then he faces an opponent no one understood.
Yeah.
An invisible virus that forced a sudden, shocking halt to his career.
November 7, 1991. Magic Johnson holds a press conference and announces he has tested positive for HIV and that he is retiring immediately from the game of basketball.
I really want you, the listener, to put yourself in that moment for a second. The most vibrant, successful person you look up to, someone who physically embodies life and energy, suddenly becomes the global face of a terrifying, deeply misunderstood epidemic overnight.
It was earth-shattering.
How does that shatter your understanding of the world?
It completely fractured the public consciousness, mainly because of the cultural context of 1991. At that time, HIV was heavily stigmatized as an absolute death sentence.
Right.
Furthermore, it was associated almost exclusively with intravenous drug users and homosexual men. The data from that era shows that only a tiny percentage of HIV-positive American men had contracted it from heterosexual sex.
And because of that stigma, the immediate reaction wasn't just shock, right? It was suspicion. Ugly rumors immediately started circulating about his sexuality.
Widespread rumors claimed he was secretly gay or bisexual. Magic fiercely denied this, and he later actually accused his friend, NBA star Isaiah Thomas, of spreading those rumors.
Which Isaiah Thomas denied, right?
Yes, Thomas strongly denied it. But Magic chose a very difficult path of transparency here. He was open about the fact that he contracted it through having numerous sexual partners during his playing career.
That takes a lot of guts.
It does. He felt it was a moral imperative to convince the heterosexual community that they were at risk too.
And the epidemiological data proves he was right. I mean, researchers literally call it the Magic Johnson effect.
They do, yeah.
Let's look at the mechanics of what actually happened after that press conference, because it's staggering.
His announcement acted as a massive public health catalyst. It rapidly corrected the public's understanding of heterosexual risk. In the months following his announcement, there was a massive spike in the number of AIDS diagnoses for heterosexual men.
Wait, not because more people were suddenly infected, right?
Exactly. Not new infections, but because a massive demographic of people finally went to get tested, they realized, if Magic Johnson can get it, I can get it.
Wow.
And this shift led to earlier access to medical care, which statistically prolonged countless lifespans.
And he refused to just fade away into the shadows. He was voted by the fans to play the 1992 All-Star Game, even though he had been retired for months at that point.
Which caused significant panic within the league itself.
Oh, I bet.
Several players, most notably Karl Malone, publicly argued that they would be at severe risk of contamination if Magic sustained an open wound and bled on the court.
That was the level of fear back then.
That was the lack of medical understanding at the highest levels of the sport.
But he plays anyway. He wins All-Star MVP, hitting a step-back three-pointer to end the game. Then he joins the 1992 Olympic Dream Team and wins a gold medal in Barcelona.
Incredible run.
He visually proved to the world that you could live with this virus. But, reality eventually sets in. He can't play in the NBA full-time anymore due to the grueling travel and the lingering stigma.
Yeah, it was too much.
So stripped of his primary identity, he has to pivot again. And this is where that court vision transitions into the boardroom. He starts spotting economic opportunities that corporate America is completely blind to.
Though it's worth noting, his business career didn't start with an immediate championship, so to speak.
Oh.
His very first venture was a high-end sporting goods store called Magic 32.
Okay.
It failed within a year and cost him $200,000.
Ouch. A massive reality check. But what did he actually learn from that failure?
He learned that you can't just sell what you want to sell. You have to understand the specific sociology of your consumer base.
There's that sociological awareness again.
Exactly. He started meeting aggressively with corporate executives and poring over business data, and he identified a massive economic blind spot. Underserved urban communities. Corporate America was completely ignoring these neighborhoods.
Let's break down the mechanics of this blind spot because it is brilliant.
Sure.
Corporate retailers were heavily relying on outdated census data, right? They looked at a neighborhood like Harlem or South Central LA, saw that the average individual income was lower than a suburb like Beverly Hills, and just decided it wasn't worth opening stores there.
Yep.
What Magic realized was that they were completely ignoring density.
Exactly. The individual income might be lower, but the population density in those urban centers was exponentially higher.
Right.
So if you have 10,000 people with $50 of disposable income densely packed into a few city blocks, their aggregate spending power is actually much higher than 100 people with $500 spread out across a massive suburb.
It's just simple math when you look at it that way.
It is. There was a real concentrated wealth and demand in these communities and absolutely zero premium retail options for them to spend it on.
Which leads to his groundbreaking pitch to Starbucks CEO Howard Schultz. Magic brings this density data to Schultz and convinces him to form a 50-50 partnership called Urban Coffee Opportunities.
A huge risk at the time.
Massive. But he gets the green light to open 125 Starbucks locations in places corporate America was terrified of, places like Detroit, Harlem, and South Central.
And he didn't just drop a suburban Starbucks into Harlem, right? He adapted the model to the community.
How so?
He changed the music being played in the stores. He changed the menu to include items like sweet potato pie. He made them comfortable community gathering spaces. And the result? Those urban stores ended up reporting higher than average per capita sales compared to suburban locations.
It's the exact same mechanism as his point guard philosophy.
Yes.
He was never the one taking all the shots. His genius was finding the open man. In this case, the open man was this massive demographic of urban consumers. He delivered the perfect assist by bringing in premium brands. And Starbucks was just the beginning.
Just the beginning. It created a blueprint. He brought in movie theaters, fitness centers, and restaurants. He facilitated the local economy, proving to Wall Street that investing in minority communities wasn't charity. It was highly lucrative business.
Which is how you make real change.
Exactly. And that vision built a sprawling empire.
Yeah.
By 2023, Forbes estimated his net worth at $1.6 billion.
And he just keeps winning. I mean, he became part of the ownership groups for the Los Angeles Dodgers, who have won 3 World Series under his group. The LA Sparks won a WNBA championship, LAFC won an MLS Cup, even the Washington Commanders in the NFL.
Yeah, when you look at the totality of his life's timeline, Magic Johnson's legacy absolutely cannot be contained by his 16 total championships across playing and ownership.
Not even close. His true superpower, the real magic, was his relentless ability to read the room and pivot when the world tried to box him in.
Beautifully said.
From an outcast bus to a hostile high school, he figured out the social dynamics to become a unifier. From a rookie point guard, he rewired his spatial awareness to become a starting center in the NBA Finals.
Right.
And from a sidelined, heavily stigmatized athlete, he leveraged his global fame to become a public health educator and exploited a massive corporate blind spot to become a billionaire businessman.
He fundamentally changed how basketball was played, how athletes view their financial worth and leverage, and how the entire world viewed a devastating virus.
So as we wrap up today, I want you to think about the moments in your own life that feel like career-ending setbacks. The moments where the bottom just completely falls out and the path you were on is suddenly permanently blocked.
We all have them.
We do. What if the thing that abruptly stops your current trajectory isn't a tragedy, but the exact catalyst required to force you to read the room differently and launch your most impactful chapter?
That's a powerful thought to leave on.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We invite you to return for our next exploration.